UGA 2026 football schedule. Before we go and talk about this, I'm really high on what Georgia can do this season. I really am. I think we're going to be just as good as we were last year, if not better. We were a young team. We've won the SEC twice in a row, and we're going to 9 conference games. So we'll see how that impacts everything. But I really like where this team's at. I think we're going to have a really good season coming up. But this schedule, let's go ahead and pull this up here. Give me 1 second, and I'll get it pulled up for the 2026 football schedule. Here we go. All right. Week 1 and Week 2, FCS slop in Athens, Tennessee State, and Western Kentucky. Look, I'm a guy that has previously said many times that I don't think the SEC and the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the ACC, we should stop playing these terrible games. I do believe we were supposed to play UCLA and then they canceled it, so that's why we're playing one of these 2 games. But we're getting further and further into the weeds of how the playoff set up and everything, and I just don't see a reason why we need to be playing FCS teams and G5 teams. But that's a different discussion for a different day. Week 1 and 2 will be throwaways for Georgia football fans, and I'm sure people will complain about why there's no fans in the stadium, and then I'll just let you know I won't be there as well. Okay, so the real season starts Week 3 at Arkansas. Arkansas bringing in a new coach, Ryan Silverfield. I don't think Arkansas has won a game since Week 2 of last season. They finished 2-10. Last time Georgia went to Arkansas was 2020. That was the first Dwan Mathis start for the Georgia fans that remember that. That was when we wore the white jerseys with the red pants. Stetson Bennett kind of first burst onto the scene there. Will be interesting. Don't really see a lot of struggles there. I wonder what time slot that's going to be. Is that going to be an 11 a.m. kick in Fayetteville? We'll see. Week 4, Oklahoma in Athens. This first time since, I'll give everybody a second to guess, the 2020, or not the 2020, but the 2018 Rose Bowl. The 2018 Rose Bowl that Georgia and Oklahoma are facing up. This, I think, will be a night game in Athens. I haven't seen what else is going on in Week 4, but I have a feeling that Georgia and Oklahoma is going to be a big-time matchup in Week 4. Now, Oklahoma does play Michigan, I believe, in Week 2 this year. So, depending on what happens there, if they win that, they're sitting at 3-0. Georgia's sitting at 3-0. I would assume this would get some big love, big night game, top 15, 10, top 10-ish matchup. Anyway. All right, in Week 5, Vanderbilt. First time Georgia's played Vanderbilt since the expanded SEC happened, so there's actually a couple on this list that we're playing for the first time since that happened, kind of getting back to an old SEC East type schedule. But they avoided the Diego Pavia years, right? We didn't have to play Diego Pavia at all. Georgia didn't. But now they're playing Jared Curtis. If you don't know who Jared Curtis is, he was committed to Georgia twice at one point. And he, right before, just like many recruits do nowadays, he flip-flopped, went to Vandy. He's from Nashville. He's going to stay in Nashville. And he's going to come to UGA in Week 5. Who knows if Vanderbilt's going to be the same. Is Vanderbilt here to stay, or is Diego Pavia just a one-hit wonder? They win the most games they've ever won. That's a big question mark. Week 6 at Alabama. 3rd year in a row, Georgia and Alabama are playing in the regular season. Ever since the expanded SEC happened, they've played every single season. Look, Greg Sankey and the SEC, I don't blame them for playing this game every single year. This is fireworks. It's going to get a lot of ratings. This will 100% be a night game. I don't know how Bama's going to be this year. I haven't really thought too much about that, but I can see why this game is always going to get played, and they're going to match this up because we all know how big this game means to both teams. Week 7, Auburn. I'm glad this one's at home. I've mentioned already that I'm kind of weary of Auburn. I kind of think they're going to be good this year. And with Byron Brown, Alex Golish, who knows what their defense will look like. I just think they're going to be a physical team, and I'm really glad this game's at home. I think we should be able to handle it, but I'm telling you, watch out for Auburn. We'll probably talk about them more on a future episode. Week 8, got a bye week, which we always do before Florida. So doing Week 9, we play Florida in Atlanta, the Invesco QQQ Gridiron Classic, as it's always been called, right? Who needs the world's largest outdoor cocktail party? If you don't know, the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium is going under renovation for the next 2 seasons, so Georgia's going to play Florida in Atlanta this year, and then in 2027, Georgia's going to play them in Tampa. why play at your home stadiums? I don't know, but we're not. Obviously, John Summerall, Aaron Philo, the backup quarterback for Georgia Tech, has gone to Florida. He'll be there. And Buster Faulkner, the offensive coordinator that was at Georgia Tech last year as well, who used to be on the offensive staff at Georgia's at Florida. That'll be interesting, but fun. Game's going to be Atlanta, Georgia, Florida. I will 100% be there. Week 10, at Ole Miss, third year in a row. Played them every year since the expanded playoff or the expanded SEC conference. Trinidad Chambliss, who knows what's going on with that guy? It seems like he's just going to keep going until they've told him no a million times. He's just going to keep saying no. I want to keep playing. Kirby's gonna be out for a vengeance. Ole Miss does have our number, I guess you could say, 1-2 in the last 3 matchups. So that'll be an interesting game. I think we're gonna be ready for that. I think Kirby's gonna be planning for that one all season long. Week 11, Missouri. There's no way that game's gonna be very interesting. I mean, Missouri might be 5-5 at that point. I'm not real high on Missouri coming into this season. Depends what their schedule looks like. First time we played them since 2023. So Vandy and Missouri and this next team we're going to talk about, first time we've all played them since 2023. Like I said, bringing back the SEC East vibe. And then week 12 at South Carolina. The first time since, again, 2023 we've played these guys. Late in the season, I feel like out of all the times I've ever seen Georgia and South Carolina play a game, it's never been this late. Like, this is really late, and I have a feeling this could be a night game. The only thing about South Carolina, right, is you don't know if this team's going to be, 7-3, looking to play spoiler, if they're going to be 4-6, and like with their season thrown down the drain. We'll see. They've got Lenore Sellers, they've got some guys coming back. They're coming off just an abysmal year where they looked, pitiful. Very pitiful as somebody who tried to support them. So that'll be interesting, but it is wild that is a late season game. And in week 13, Georgia Tech at home. Game is in Athens. I would say that the games that are usually in Athens between Georgia and Georgia Tech are a little more sketchy than the ones that are in Atlanta. Everybody knows the 8 overtime game that happened a couple years ago, but just kind of look back through the history. It always seems to be a little weird in Athens when these two teams match up.